Can you make money in a pet boarding business, and how can you start one? Hi, my name's Nate Jones. I run this channel. I make videos on business, entrepreneurship, and how to start businesses, because if you don't have equity, you have a job. So if you get value out of this, hit like and hit subscribe. Okay, pet boarding, and how can you scale this business? I'm going to tell you how you can actually scale it to $907,000 a year. Crazy. This business, when I was reviewing it, it was a roller coaster, because what I'm going to tell you right here at the beginning of going through the expenses of starting this business, it's going to be like a roller coaster. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, why would I start that business? And then once I get to the income, you'll be shocked how much you can make in this business with not really having to scale it that big. I can only imagine what some of these companies are making at the massive level of running a pet boarding business. So let's go through this. The first thing we need to do is we need to evaluate your expenses. What are the expenses of starting this business? So the biggest expense is going to be your building purchase or your building lease. I ran the numbers on a 6,000 square foot building because I said, hey, let's start out small. Let's do something attainable that most people could potentially do that wouldn't make them run away from this video. Because the average lease cost is $18 a square foot per year. So if we do 18 times 6,000 square feet, that puts us at $108,000 a year. That's $9,000 a month on our lease. Some of you guys are saying, $9,000 a month? Oh my gosh, how can we turn a profit on this? I'll get to that in a second. Now, you're gonna need another $150,000 in equipment, cages, just all the stuff that's going to basically make your boarding company, your pet boarding business turn. So $150,000, let's say you don't have all that up front, you get to put down 25%. A business loan requires you to put 25% down most of the time. So that'd be $37,500 down, and your monthly loan amount is going to be $2,390. So our total expenses for the year for our loan and our building and our equipment is going to be $37,500 for the down payment, $108,000 for the yearly lease, and $26,290 of 11 payments of our loan. So that puts our total expenses at $171,790,000. So basically $172,000. So how can we turn a profit in this? And I have a dog. I take him to the border when we go on vacations, we go on trips, or we have meetings. And we pay $35 a day for daycare. That means we drop him off in the morning, we pick him up in the afternoon, and he's exhausted and he loves it. I love it because I don't have to deal with him. He's sleeping on the couch. For overnight stays, it's $55 a day, okay? So I said, okay, let's break our expenses, our $172,000 of expenses that I just talked about. Let's break that down per day, because that's how much I know how much I pay per day, and that's probably a pretty good pricing. It may be less, maybe more where you're from, but let's break it down. So $171,790 a year is $14,315 a month, which is $3,578 a week, $511 a day. So our break even is $511 a day. So we need to make sure that we have more revenue than that, or why are we in business? Because business is to turn profits. So our break even is either 10 dogs, only 10 staying overnight, and 15 dogs, only 15 dogs at daycare. Okay, that's our break even. And I said, okay, for a 6,000 square foot building with cages, with everything, like what's the maximum or like a good amount where we're not overflowing? You could probably fit more than 30, but I said, okay, we can do 30 overnight and 30 in daycare. And that's probably busting at the seams of the 6,000 square foot building. 30 dogs overnight is $1,650 a day. 30 dogs in daycare is $1,050 a day, so you're bringing in $2,700 a day in revenue. If we backtrack, let's look at profitability, right? So $2,700 a day minus $511 a day in the loan and the building lease and all that, that puts us at a pretty good cash flow. But if we're having that many dogs, we need employees, we need overhead, we need costs, right? So 3 employees at $15 an hour, which is pretty competitive pay, depending on where you're at, maybe less, maybe more. $15 a day puts your payroll cost at $45 an hour. 15 times 3 employees, $45 an hour. 12 hours a day that someone's going to be there. And each employee may not work 12 hours straight, but different shifts. $540 a day in payroll costs or overhead. So our profit per day is $1,649 a day. So let's break this down. How much can we make every month? How much can we make a year? $1,649 a day is $11,543 a month, and we're talking profit. That's $11,543 a month profit a week. A week profit. $46,172 a month profit. $554,064 profit per year. That is straight profit. You've recurred your cash. You've made that money. That is profit. This is insane. It is literally blew my mind when I picked this. I have a bunch of businesses that I want to review, and I picked this and I said, can't be that profitable, right? Blew my mind away. Gross revenue is $907 or $7,200. So this is a $1 million business. If we had a little bit more dogs, we would scale this to $1 million business. That is insane to me that this business is that profitable and you can bring in that much revenue. Okay, so let's get serious here. Let's get a little serious before we just drool all over the money that we can make. Let's get serious. Close your mouth. Number 3, think of all the ways it won't work. I do this in every business I start. I tell people, hey, bankrupt the business, shut the business down. What are the ways it can fail? Create strategies around making it succeed. Because if you can do that, it makes you feel better about starting that business, and it might kind of help you evaluate if you want to start the business. Okay, so for this business, I had 4 things. No dogs, right? No dogs come in. Nobody wants to drop their dog off overnight. Nobody wants to do daycare. Why? Because we didn't market it. We didn't get the name out there. People don't know that they could check us out instead of the competitor down the street. We didn't get the name out there. We didn't go to events. We didn't do the hard work at the beginning of a business, which every business is hard at the beginning, and you're fighting so hard just to get one customer, and then as your time goes on, it gets easier and easier and easier. Every business is like that. So you didn't do your marketing. No workers. That means, hey, we have dogs, but nobody wants to work for us. Why does nobody want to work for you? Number 1, you don't pay enough. Number 2, you didn't get the name out there to the job boards and enough people. You didn't plan ahead and create a whole package for people of how they can work, getting the name out there, because a lot of people want to work with dogs. They want to work with dogs, and they just don't. They may not know that you exist. So you got to get your name out there, work with maybe a staffing company or something to have workers. Because if you don't have workers, then no one is going to put their dog there because their dog's not getting taken care of. No demand. This is, hey, you're starting this business in a place where there's no demand for this type of business. So I always say dog border businesses work really well next to cities because people are going to work every day. If you're in a rural small town, a lot of people may not even, they just leave their dog in the backyard or they leave it at the house all day. They may not need that type of service. So make sure you're in an area where there's a demand for that. Best way to look at that is, are there other border companies that are out there right now? No returning customers, okay? So that means your customers aren't coming back. You have bad reviews. They had a bad experience. Their dog they don't like whatever happened. Maybe they don't like the facility. Maybe they just got a bad vibe from it. But you got to make sure that you deliver. You know, anybody can start a business, but to stay in business means you got to deliver. Because if you don't deliver, people are going to find out long enough and it'll put you out of business. So make sure you take care of the customer. That will put you out of business. So you're creating strategies over all 4 of those things. And you're making sure that those things don't put you out of business. So you focus on those to keep yourself in business. Number 4, what we're going to do is we're going to legal up. We're going to legal up because we live in a world where things happen that are out of our control. And if you're liable for a situation that happens, we want to make sure that you're protecting your personal assets and that your business is a separate legal entity than you. So if something happens to your business, it cannot fully destroy you, depending on the laws and regulations of your state. But having an LLC protects you personally from things that just happen. Another thing that helps with things that just happen is insurance. Make sure that you're buying insurance. As far as your employees, make sure you have workers' compensation insurance in case they get slip and fall and hurt themselves. You want to make sure they're okay because you're an employer and you're responsible for having a safe workplace. So make sure you have workers' compensation, general liability. People are coming in and off the property. You don't want them to slip and fall. If they slip and fall, they might come after you. So I transparently own an insurance agency, so I know a lot about insurance. If you ever need help with this, reach out to me. We'd be happy to help. The last thing here is making sure you have documentation for all the customers and their dogs. So making sure that there's waivers, that there's documentation outlining the services that you provide and the expectations that you have for your customer and yourself, and things that is outside of your control. Like if a dog gets injured on your campus, is who's responsible for that? Or is the customer signing a hold harmless and a waiver for that? You need to make sure that those things are in place, because if not, you're going to wish they were in place after they happened. The fifth thing, if you're serious about this business, at some point, you're going to have to start this business. Because if you don't start this business and you keep planning about it and you brag about how much money you can make, you're the guy who's down the street who always brags about businesses that you can start, but you never start one. This business reminds me, and I'll put a link right here, it reminds me of wedding venues. Wedding venues there's a big upfront cost, but as you're in it long enough, it's kind of like a real estate thing where you're continuing to make that cash flow. So this business is a great business to start. I was completely shocked. I would say this is definitely in the top 5 of businesses that I would start. I think depending on the area, you want to make sure that the demand is there, because I've seen a lot of these pop up recently. But that being said, if you're a hard worker and you're able to put your mind to this business, you can make some serious cash. And this is like year 1. So I can only imagine a 15, 20,000 square foot building of pet boarding, how much money you could make. So like and subscribe if you got value to this. Comment below if you want to see me review another business or tell you how you could start it. Be happy to help.